Hello everyone, let me briefly introduce myself. My name is Mohammed Ali ZAKERI, one of researchers of RAFSANJAN University of Medical Science. I want to talk about translation and psychometric properties of major in chronic patient. I would like to talk this opportunity to talk to you about one of my paper and an abstract of which was submitted at a conference of University of Melilla, Malaysia. The title of my article is Translation and Psychometric Properties of the Patient Version of the Patient Activation Measure in Chronic Patient. My presentation is divided into three parts. I'll start with introduction, when I will look at method, and finally I will talk about results. In the introduction part, I'd like to give you some background information about the patient activation measure. Patient activation measure or PIM consists of 13 items that access patient knowledge, skill, and confidence for self-management. The current study aims to translate the American version of the patient activation measure into Persian and to test the psychometric properties of the Persian version in chronic patient. I'd now like to move on the next part, method. In this cross-sectional study, 438 patients with chronic disease were selected in RAFSANJAN, Iran. The American version of the patient activation measure was translated into patient activation measure Persian using a standardized forward-backward translation method. Internal consistency, test reliability, face and content validities are construct validity were assessed. That's all I have to say about method. Turning our attention now to results. The constant validity index of the patient activation measure patient was 0.91. Exploratory and confirmatory factor analysis showed the patient activation measure Persian had a meaningful structural validity. Patient activation measure Persian score was negative correlate with partner in health questionnaire. In addition, patient activation measure Persian score was positively correlated with life satisfaction. The internal consistency was good. Alpha Kornbach equal 0.88, and the repeatability was excellent. This study demonstrates that the patient activation measure Persian is reliable and valid measurable in the patient measure Persian scale is used to determine the level of self-management of chronic patient and identify appropriate care strategy to meet the need of chronic patient. Thanks for your attention.